In the last section, we continued to talk a little bit about images, but we're still surprisingly light on some of the details around exactly what a container is. So in this section, I'm going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at what a container is and how it is created on your machine. Now, to understand a container, you first need to have a little bit of background on exactly how your operating system runs on your computer. So I'm going to first give you a quick overview of your operating system. Okay, so this is a quick overview of the operating system on your computer. Most operating systems have something called a kernel. This kernel is a running software process that governs access between all the programs that are running on your computer and all the physical hardware that is connected to your computer as well. So up here at the top of this diagram, we have different programs that your computer is running, such as Chrome or Terminal, Spotify, or Node.js. If you've ever made use of Node.js before and you've written a file to the hard drive, it's technically not Node.js that is speaking directly to the physical device. Instead, Node.js says to your kernel, hey, I want to write a file to the hard drive. The kernel then takes that information and eventually persists it to the hard disk. So the kernel is always kind of this intermediate layer that governs access between these programs and your actual hard drive. The other important thing to understand here is that these running programs interact with the kernel through things called system calls. These are essentially like function invocations. The kernel exposes different endpoints to say, hey, if you want to write a file to the hard drive, call this endpoint or this function right here. It takes some amount of information, and then that information will be eventually written to the hard disk or memory or whatever else is required. Now, thinking about this entire system right here, I want to pose a kind of hypothetical situation to you. I want you to imagine for just a second that you and I have two programs running on our computer. Maybe one of them is Chrome, like Chrome the web browser, and the other is Node.js, the JavaScript server-side runtime. I want you to imagine that we're in a crazy world where Chrome, in order to work properly, has to have Python version 2 installed, and Node.js has to have version 3 installed. However, on our hard disk, we only have access to Python version 2. And for whatever crazy reason, we are not allowed to have two identical installations of Python at the same time. So as it stands right now, Chrome would work properly because it has access to version 2, but Node.js would not because we do not have a version or a copy of Python version 3. Again, this is a completely make-believe situation. I just want you to kind of consider this for a second because this is kind of leading into what a container is. So how could we solve this issue? Well, one way to do